The Brooklyn Nets may not be very good, but Cam Thomas might average 35. Welcome in or welcome back. Day 9 has us unfortunately talking about another bad basketball team. If you missed yesterday's episode, we talked about the Washington Wizards. And again, misery loves company, so let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. When we're talking about the Nets, I think it's really important to understand historically where they have been. It starts with the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade with Boston, and that didn't turn out very good for them in hindsight. They gave up all this draft capital for two pieces who they felt like could contribute to their core trio that they had at the time, and it didn't. At the time, wasn't a big deal. Future draft picks, who knows? That ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, obviously a bad trade in hindsight. They tried to do another coup again by getting Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and then eventually James Harden, and we all saw how that played out. They gave up a bunch of draft capital to get all these things going, and it just never panned out for them. The solace for them now is that with the trade of Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks, they finally have a direction, and that direction is to be an awful basketball team. And listen, I want it to be known from the get-go that I think that having a direction is way better than being somewhere in the middle. If you aren't competing for a championship, I'm of the opinion that you should be trading away assets to constantly get other draft capital that you could use in the future. There's no sense in being a team that's going to pick 17th in the draft. It doesn't help anybody. The one other solace that there is for this Brooklyn Nets season is that it's going to be the Cam Thomas show. Who doesn't like a small guard who can put the ball in the hoop? I was a big fan of him coming out of LSU. I thought that he was really underlooked at the time. And when you look at college basketball historically, unless your favorite player in recent memory was Michael Beasley, your favorite college basketball player did not average 23 points a game, especially in the SEC, and Cam Thomas did that. So I thought coming out of that draft that there probably wasn't going to be a 1-to-1 conversion rate on his ability to score in the NBA, but I knew that he would figure it out eventually, and he did. Is he a good defender? No. Is he kind of a black hole on offense? Yes. But at this point, who else are you going to pass the ball to? So Cam Thomas is a bright spot. That's great. That's at least enough for the people who get League Pass to tune into your game sometimes. If you're going to be bad, I think you need to be really bad. I think even though there's been this flattened odds for the top pick in each draft, I think that you need to have a real shot and a real discussion about getting as much draft capital as possible for everything that you have. And the biggest trade piece that you have outside of Cam Thomas, I suppose, is Nicholas Claxton. I think that he's really serviceable. I think that there are teams in the NBA, much like Milwaukee, with a out of prime, over the hill Brook Lopez, who could use a rim defending, a shot blocking center like Nick Claxton. And it's not necessarily Milwaukee, but there are other teams in the association that you could give a ring to, and they may give you some decent draft capital for him. And then this other one is probably harder to accomplish, but I think that there is a real scenario where this could be a Ben Simmons rehabilitation season, and then at the trade deadline, you trade him somewhere else. And listen, I know that that sounds crazy. I get it. I have been on the island of Ben Simmons by myself for a very long time, only because I view his raw potential, meaning his body frame, his talent level, his facilitating, his rebounding, his defending. I view that in such high regard that I believe if there was a team, if there was just a rat team that would buy into Ben Simmons, even a 7th or 8th year Ben Simmons at this point, if someone were to buy into Ben Simmons, he could be a very, very good basketball player. Someone like a 25-5 kind of guy. I know that this was a lifetime ago, but I always point to that rookie season of Ben Simmons, which I do think it's a little funny. People online call that his prime, even though it was his rookie season. But that showed a lot of really positive notes if you are looking for a cornerstone of a basketball team and someone to hang your hat on. I think there was a little bit of time where his growth got stunted a little bit, specifically that Philadelphia 76ers team with Jimmy Butler, J.J. Redick, and Tobias Harris. I think that because Jimmy Butler was the guy and a lot of the playmaking responsibilities fell on his shoulders, it kind of made Ben useless in that offense, especially because at that moment he wasn't great off the ball. He wasn't good at cutting to the rim, and obviously he's not an outside scoring threat, so he was just kind of stuck in the corner with nothing to do. So I think that stunted his growth a little bit, but I don't think that is the kind of player that he needs to be for the rest of his career. Obviously, we all see the videos of him in the offseason, cooking up in the lab, hitting three-pointers like it's nothing, and I do want to say that it seems like he has good shot mechanics, and I'm not going to pretend like he doesn't. I just wish that would somehow show up in an NBA game at some point. But nonetheless, I think that if you're going to be bad and you're going to need to run someone at point guard that isn't Cam Thomas or a primary facilitator, it might as well be Ben Simmons. And I'm not saying that the Nets need to use their entire future and build around Ben Simmons, but if you play him decently and come the All-Star break, he's averaging like 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists with 2 steals a game and shooting efficiently around the rim, there's going to be a team in the association that looks at that and goes, yeah, I'll give you a first-round pick for that. You might as well take a flyer on it if he's producing at this level. What can he do for our basketball team? And if you're the Brooklyn Nets, that's all you need from him. The Brooklyn Nets technically have 4 first-round draft picks in this upcoming 2025 NBA draft. I only think 3 of them will eventually convey to them, but they would have their own pick, they would have New York's pick, which is unprotected, and they would have Milwaukee's pick, which is just a top 4 protected, which Milwaukee isn't going to be that bad, so you're going to get their pick as well. So if I'm the Nets GM or the coach or the president or whatever it is, my main priorities are have Cam Thomas be more comfortable in his role and potentially make him a decent facilitator, trade Nick Claxton for something, and rehab Ben Simmons' image and trade him to a contender and get draft capital. Be bad so you could potentially get Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey in this upcoming draft. Are you going to watch the Nets on League Pass? Let me know down in the comments below. Check my link tree while you're at it. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. I'll see you tomorrow.